Good morning, everybody. It's me, Mitch, in the kitchen. Gonna do something a little different today. Time for me to think about my first meal of the day. And instead of showing you how I actually cook something, I've decided today is going to be one of the very few days where I don't eat bacon and eggs, because I've got some leftovers. One of the things that's most important to me is doing carnivore on a budget. I think that's important to most of us. And many times I will make a meal that will make 4 or 5 meals, like my meatloaf, like my chuck roast in a slow cooker, where I take the results of the entire 4 or 5 meals, put them in a container in the refrigerator till they're cold, and then just reheat them for a quick meal that's inexpensive, very, very easy to make, and maybe something a little different each time. And what I have here, and it's not even necessary for me to show you how I made this because it's the height of simplicity. I took a chuck roast, about 4 pounds. With no other preparation, I put it in a slow cooker on low and set it for 8 hours. You've seen me do that before. If you haven't, that's all there is to it. When the chuck roast is done, it ends up sitting in all of its own liquid, fat, collagen, and usually is almost under the liquid, even though I didn't put any additional liquid in it. I take it and I just shred it up, kind of like you might do with pulled pork. And I put it in a refrigerator container. And when it gets cold, there's layers of fat. And underneath the layer of fat is a layer of a gelatinous type, not liquid, but gelatin, that is pure collagen and really healthy nutrients. Then I generally just take maybe a quarter of that, put it in a microwave safe bowl, and just heat it up for a minute or two, and I've got a meal. So when it comes to be mealtime like it is now, within a couple of minutes with almost no mess, I've got what really is a delicious meal. That's not what I'm doing today, but that's how I started. So I got about 4 hours into this cook and took a look, and I had defrosted some chicken thighs with the intention of having them, maybe fried or air fried. And I said, you know what, I'm in the mood. I'm in the mood for some soup, something a little different. So with 4 hours remaining on the slow cook, I put these 3 big chicken thighs into the slow cooker, pushed them down under the liquid, which had already come out from the chuck, and added a couple cups of water to it, just enough water to cover everything up. And I said, I'm going to make some soup. At the end of the 8-hour cook, the chicken was thoroughly cooked. I just started shredding everything up. I think I peeled the chicken skin off, but I did shred up the chicken meat and the chuck roast together, and there was a lot of liquid in there, and I just poured the whole mess into this thing. And I've already eaten two meals from this, and as you can see, looking in here, this is what I've got left. And it's still almost too much for one meal. But I'm going to have some today. And I thought I'd show you just how fast and easy it is for me to take this and get it ready to eat. So I just take a spoon and I dish in here and scoop out all of this. And there's fat in there, and there's meat in there, and liquid in there, and put put the amount in there that I think would make a nice meal for me today, and that ought to be pretty good. And I scoop the fat and all the collagen and the beef and everything else is in here, and I'll put this away and clean up that dirty spoon. I'll put this away, and if there's not enough there for a complete meal, I can have it as part of a meal, maybe with some other leftovers. I'll put this in the microwave for 2 minutes, and we'll let it go. I'll then clean up a little bit of the stuff that splashed off the spoon with this dish towel, which I will now relegate to the dirty status. Get myself a clean dish towel and wait for this thing to heat up. I'll just eat it right out of the bowl. So in a couple of minutes, without having to cook anything, without having to dirty pots or pans, without having to spend a lot of money on a meal, for what was less than $4, I'll have a nice bowl of chuck and dark meat chicken soup, where every drop of every nutrient, every bit of fat, every bit of collagen that was in the original raw materials, the chicken and the beef, is in that. So I've got a completely nutritious meal, and all I have to do is rinse out one glass bowl and a spoon, and I'm all cleaned up. And while that's cooking, with 24 seconds left, I will show you my dinner for tonight. Since I saved so much money on lunch, I am going to have this beautiful ribeye. I'm going to sous vide it, sear it in carbon steel and butter, and that's going to be my second meal for the day. And that will be all the food that I need to eat today. And that, to me, is what makes carnivore absolutely the best lifestyle. So I now have a bowl of delicious soup with chicken and chuck in it. And as the pièce de résistance, I am going to put carnivore croutons, is what I call them. I am going to put a handful of carnivore croutons into my soup. And if you have never tried that, are you in for a treat? If you've ever had French onion soup with croutons, that's what this is like. So we will let the pork rind soak up some of the soup, and I will get myself a little spoonful of this with some meat on it and a crouton and a little soup in the spoon, and give it a taste. That is a wonderful meal. Wonderful. And if I finish this and I still have not been satiated, I'll go get the rest of it and heat it up. But just a simple idea. Very little work. You can prepare 4 meals at one time. Put it in the fridge. And sometime when you just don't feel like making a big production, have yourself a really tasty meal for a relatively small amount of money. That's something a little different. You got to love this carnivore lifestyle, like I do. So I'm going to go eat this while it's hot. You guys take the rest of the day off and eat meat.